Hey, what's going on guys? Nick here with another Predator video. Now this time we're going to be talking about yet another deleted scene, an early concept that was going to be featured in Shane Black's 2018 film. So recently a lot of concept art and early design work has been surfacing for the Predator, mainly because the film is out and the Blu-ray release is around the corner. It's actually out on digital right now if you're in the US. I believe you can pick it up on iTunes and Amazon and Google Play possibly. So there is a lot of, behind the scenes stuff surfacing, and the deleted scenes are out there now. And this time we're going to be talking about some concept art from Fausto De Martini, who has actually dropped some really cool design work. This stuff actually showed up back in October, but nobody actually saw it until very recently, for whatever reason. And this was pointed out to us from AVP Galaxy again, in which he designed a pod for the ending of the film. As everyone who has seen it knows that there was like somewhat of a post-credits thing, or I mean it wasn't post-credits, but it was before the credits, basically teasing a sequel or what's to come. And essentially during that scene we find out that the fugitive Predator had left us a pod that was containing some sort of a weapon to combat the pending invasion by predators to Earth. In the film, the pod actually contains something of a nanotech weapon called the Predator Killer, which is essentially the armored suit that Iron Man wears in Infinity War, but instead of making the Iron Man costume, it makes a giant mechanized Predator suit with plasma casters and dreadlocks. But in the early concept art, it seems like that pod was actually supposed to be supplied by Weyland Yutani, and inside of the pod was going to be a human wearing a mechanical facehugger breathing mask that was supposed to be some sort of a breathing apparatus resembling the popular creature from the Alien movies. Now obviously before we discuss this, we know that the Predator does take into account that AVP happened, because the Predator and Alien have different timelines. The Alien movies follow the whole Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Aliens timeline into Alien 3 and Resurrection, while the Predator movies follow the core Predator films plus AVP. So Xenomorphs are canon to the Predator films, but Predators, the Outja, are not canon to the individual Alien films. I know it's a bit confusing, but that is kind of the state of the universe that we're in, even though there is a bit of contention for where the whole Fire and Stone storyline takes place in, because that's kind of up in the air. But it is really interesting, this alternate ending that was going to feature a pod supplied by Weyland Yutani with the whole facehugger inspired breathing mask. And I think this really opened up the door to AVP 3 possibilities, or potentially just a standalone Predator sequel that was going to feature the shadowy organization. If you guys also remember back in AVP Requiem, they did tease Miss Yutani in that film, so we got Weyland in the first AVP, we got Miss Yutani in the second film, so I guess it is kind of interesting to see where they're going to take it. Obviously the film wasn't good, so it's not like many people really looking forward to a sequel, but on the one hand I think that at least having an ending like this would have got people somewhat interested in seeing a sequel, whereas the Predator Killer armor pretty much just killed the entire franchise and just nobody wants to see, what would have happened with that, just because it was such a strange concept. Didn't really make sense within the context of the Predator films, whereas this would have been a really cool thing opening up the larger universe. But what do you guys think about this? Would you have rather seen this alternate ending in which they actually had the Weyland Yutani supplied pod? It is also interesting to note that Studio ADI, which supplied the practical effects and creature work for the film, did actually make a practical facehugger mask. So we don't know if they actually filmed a version of this scene and just cut it or changed it, because the whole idea of putting like a book ending thing teasing a next film was decided upon very late from what I understand. They basically had a cut of the film ready to go, and then within like maybe a month or so before it actually got released, they were like, hey, let's put on some kind of like teaser thing at the end to get fans all hyped up. And that's why all of the artwork and design stuff for the Predator Killer and this pod stuff happened very late in the process and kind of had to get rushed together. But like I said, post your thoughts down below. What do you guys think about this alternate deleted scene? For more updates on everything Predator, Alien, and pop culture, be sure to subscribe to HN Entertainment.